Hello my people, this is Porma from Stars in My Pocket, a K-drama podcast, and you're listening to our fourth Long Yak. Now the sound quality on this episode is worse than usual due to some network issues on my end. I've tried to clean it up, but allow me to extend my heartfelt apologies to your ears. On the bright side, I barely say anything for the first 30 minutes, so there is that. Saya, Anisa and I have been wanting to extend the scope of our discussion in these monthly podcasts. So from this episode onwards, we'll be covering a bit of entertainment news and previews of upcoming dramas that might be worth watching. Shout out to Andy Millman for suggesting the preview segment. Thanks, Andy. We love it when our listeners leave comments on YouTube or email us with advice and encouragement. Our podcast is still fairly new and this motivates us, makes all the effort feel worth it. So, thanks guys. And now, off to the episode. We hope you enjoy listening to it.
Anisa.
And I'm Porma.
Okay, let's go straight into our news roundup, which is the new bit that we're doing now. And what we've done is we've basically just picked a couple of stories that interested us and that are relevant to the stuff that we've been talking about. And I think what's deeply, deeply relevant right now is, of course, anything to do with sexual assault, Me Too, and actors who get away with it. So a couple of weeks ago, the news broke about actor Seo-won, who was in Liar and His Lover last year, and Hospital Ship, and more recently was the second lead for About Time, and he was charged with sexual assault, and he was dropped from his dramas. And interestingly, he's also quite recently, very recently, made an apology statement where he, regrets his actions and things like that. So, what do you guys think about that story?
I'm glad he got fired. I feel bad for the crew that had to reshoot so much and replace him and do so much extra work. I don't buy his apology because after she turned him down, he went after her with a knife. So what? What is he think an apology is going to achieve at this point? He's like, she doesn't want to meet me, but I really want to meet her and apologize to her in person.
When you put it like that.
Yeah, it does not sound good. I remember him from a while when we were recapping The Liar and His Lover, and he was such a fan favorite because he was adorable. He was just 18 years old, and he was the maknae of the cast, right? And everybody treated him like a kid. But 2 years on, not a good look. And and also, if the woman he targeted had not been a celebrity, there's a pretty good chance that he would have gotten away with it. He has a pretty influential agency backing him.
Yeah, and the fact that this investigation was going on for 6 weeks and his agency, they say they didn't know, I think, but I really doubt that they didn't know. And the fact that he just kept working and didn't tell anybody, and then, that's also gross.
Well, that says that he expected to get away with it.
Yeah. No, it's highly unlikely that he would get in legal trouble and nobody from his agency would know. That is just outside of ridiculous. Also, something that I find funny is that him, actually harassing someone, assaulting someone does not seem to have outraged the fans as much as the idea that he maligned by association actors like Park Bo-gum just because they share an agency. That seemed to have outraged people more.
Oh God, really?
I didn't pick
some
up
of
that part.
the comments I was reading was pretty clear on that. So I'm sure I'm not saying that's the majority of them. I'm sure that's not. I'm just saying that some people only seemed concerned about protecting their oppas.
Yeah, so, sadly,
there was that aspect of it.
It's not a totally new or unexpected thing, but it's still really gross.
What stood out to me is the fact that it's so unusual to for any of these celebrities to be charged at all. Usually, the cases drop, they come to a settlement, there are no charges, right? But he's a rookie, and that's not to, of course he deserves all of the consequences that are coming his way, but I don't think it's cynical for us to think that this is the one person they've chosen to shoulder the burdens, the sins of everyone doing it, because there are bigger names than him who are doing it that we don't know about, and they're still getting away with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know that this
mean,
is a particularly optimistic outcome overall, though it is for its specific case.
Yeah, but I choose to be optimistic that I'm thinking like a year or two ago, this may not have happened either. So I'm just choosing to believe that this shows a turn in how the industry deals with cases like this. But let's see.
I totally agree, and I'm always down for the cynical take on anything because it's usually the real take. But I want to point out, like we talked about in our like men behaving badly episode, that we talked about some pretty high-profile cases in that, you know, Jo Jae-hyun, Jo Min-ki, the other director who's like he's internationally famous. I can't remember his name right now. So like,
Kim Ki-duk.
That's right. So like those are some big names, and I mean
that's true.
I don't know about Kim Ki-duk if he had any kind of consequences, but Jo Jae-hyun has like stepped down from his position. He's apologized. He's admitted to it, and like so. On one hand, you're right. It's kind of like, well, he's a small fry and nobody's really going to care that he doesn't have a career anymore. But it's also in one way a good thing to just get rid of them early before they become really popular and and they have more fans, and they've been causing damage for many years, and they become one of those actors that like everybody knows about, but nobody says anything. Like there's probably
like
still a ton. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a ton in Hollywood too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys heard Asia Argento's speech at Cannes a couple weeks ago, but she basically went up in front of. They have this thing on the red carpet where like all the actors just get together and it's like really fancy and stuff, and they have speeches. And she basically went up there and said, you know, I don't know how many years ago Harvey Weinstein raped me at Cannes. And this was his hunting ground. And she's like, and there's a lot more people that still need to be, held accountable. And they're in this audience right now. And she's like staring them down. I mean, it was very intense. It was pretty.
Wow.
That's brave.
Very brave. Yeah. So, I mean, people are definitely not going to shut up now that they've started talking, right?
Let's hope not. So, shall we move on to the next story?
Yeah. What's the next story?
Yeah. Why don't you?
Although, I do want to add one more thing about the Lee-seo-won story is that I'm glad that it gives Kim Dong-joon the chance to take that role because you guys didn't watch Black, but he was really good in Black, and he's really adorable. And don't turn bad, Kim Dong-joon, because we're rooting for you. Okay, so the next story. Oh, the next story is an exciting one. Kim In-hee is in the process of the writer of Signal is in the process of writing Signal 2. So Kingdom has finished filming. And interestingly, I just literally read this before we started talking. There's talks of a sequel for Kingdom, which is her Netflix zombie series with Bae Doona and some other people I can't remember. So yeah, Signal 2. Everyone wants it to happen. The cast want it to happen. The director wants it to happen. The writers want it to happen. So they're just trying to find a way for the schedule to work for everyone, and she's writing it. So that's very exciting. I'm very excited.
So exciting.
I'm basically going to hold my breath until it comes out. I'm so excited.
We're not going to breathe while we're watching it either. We're just not going to breathe.
We'll be dead before it comes out. Last story. So the last story is Kim Yoo-jung is back. She was ill for a while, so she had to. She was doing a drama, an upcoming drama called Clean with Passion for now. But because she fell sick during the filming, everything halted. And the lead, the person who was originally cast as the lead had to drop out because of other commitments. So now they're in the middle of recasting the lead for that. And one of the names in contention is Yoon Kyun-sang, which I am not happy about. I mean, she's 18 still. He's 31. That's we've talked about this a lot. I'm just no.
Especially because she went through such a hard time with like her surgery and like she was sick, she had. So I want her to come back with something really amazing and that I want to watch because I love her.
I love her as well, and yeah, I just want her to be opposite someone more appropriate and that doesn't feel so sort of. Yoon Kyun Sang is not sleazy, but this pairing feels sleazy. It's like it shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they're in such a rush to push these actresses into adult roles. Like, they have their whole lives to play adult roles. Why can't they just play 18-year-olds for a while, you know?
Because I think someone in a glass office gets off on seeing 18-year-olds play much older and while still being in that flower of youth.
Yeah, that's even grosser.
Yeah, that's why it's so gross. Because like I have absolutely no doubt that Yoon Kyun Sang will be like a gentleman. In as far as we know about him, obviously we don't know anything about him. But like, you know, you expect them to be gentlemen in general. It's not them. It's the casting. It's the people making these choices.
She was the one, in this case, she was the one that was cast first, and she was on this project for a long time. So I'm a little bit, like, usually it's not really the actor's fault, but in this case, I'm like side-eyeing Yoon Kyun Sang a little bit because he knows how old she is, and he signed onto it later. Or is this already something that was
It's speculative,
cast?
so it's not been done yet. He's in contention for the role.
Oh, I see. So he could possibly, he hasn't necessarily said yes, they're just wanting him for the role.
Right, he's been approached for the role, but I
hope
hope he
okay.
Yeah, but usually actors don't kind of look at the age of the actress and go like, no, I can't be paired with her, especially when they are in their early 30s. It doesn't seem to occur to them that they shouldn't be paired with someone so much younger. That's just not something that they consider. They consider the writer, the director, the chances of exposure for them. It's not, I don't know, the ickiness factor does not seem to be one of the things that the actors consider themselves. So, but yeah, let's see what happens with this.
Yeah.
Yep. One last thing, which is Seo In-guk coming back to Dramaland, which is yay. He was discharged from he was discharged from military service with a medical condition. So yeah, he's coming back to Dramaland, and he's just been confirmed for a remake of a Japanese drama, 100 million stars falling from the sky, which is like sounds like a pretty intense mellow. And opposite Jung So-min, who is Because This Life Is Our First, right?
Yes.
Right.
I watched A Million Stars Falling from the Sky, the original, the Japanese version.
So it's a million, not 100 million. Okay. It's like they couldn't decide what to call it in the reports I read.
Yeah, that's weird. But it's very dark. I don't know how I feel about this storyline with those two actors, but we'll see. I mean, they can definitely pull it off. It'll be interesting. I don't know if I want to go through such an emotional experience again, but then
I was reading that. I was a bit scared as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about the original, but it did sound really like heavy, and
it was also really, really good and really well done, and it was perfect at like 11 episodes. So I'm not really sure if I want this to be a Korean drama series. It's like 16, 20 episodes. We'll have to see.
But then it depends who's writing it, right?
Right. Because then you have things like Mother, which
was amazing.
So good. Yeah. Although I didn't watch that for the same reason.
But you know, there are a lot of people who watch the Japanese and they watch the Korean, and they said that they preferred the Korean. So I think because of the way that the Japanese one wrapped up, it didn't give you any closure, whereas the Korean one did give you a bit of emotional closure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true for sure.
Barbara, you were going to say something? Sorry.
I just wanted to say that my first introduction to Seo In-guk's body of work was pretty weird. Like Hello Monster and Police Unit 38 both were not exactly like, I mean, they had their cutesy moments, but they were essentially dark dramas. So if he goes darker...
Did you forget Answer Me 97?
No, I did not forget Answer Me 97, but I watched Answer Me 97 like a year after I watched those dramas. Okay, so like those were my first introduction to the guy. And if he's going darker, I think he's like probably the only actor I would be willing to watch a dark drama for. Because you guys know, I'm all about the happy ending and the escapism. I do not do well with dark themes, but yeah, if it has him, just to watch him in a drama, I probably would. And
Yeah,
also,
I don't know.
like, out, right? Like right before this, he did the Shopaholic Louis. That's what he did right before this.
Yeah, I think Shopping King Louie was his last one. It's very different from that. That's the thing is like I have that like goofy, smiley, like idiot with a heart of gold in my head, so it's gonna be hard to switch to this like extremely dark, disturbed, almost like an anti-hero. Yeah. So,
but the Seo In-guk and probably Park Bo-gum, I would be willing to watch really, really dark dramas in. Because they just have this, they are charismatic and adorable, but when you put them in dark situations, they can somehow pull it off.
Can I add Jisung to that list as well?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah,
Jisung do it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He goes dark amazingly.
Yeah.
Anissa, you were going to tell us about upcoming dramas.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about what's coming up in June, and a couple of them are actually coming out in like a couple of days from today or even tomorrow, since it's June 3rd while we're recording. So we have first we have Are You Human Too, which is the robot drama with Seo Kang-joon, Gong Sang-yeon, and Lee Jun-hyuk. And it's about like basically Seo Kang-joon is a robot, which is basically him in real life. So I mean, spot on casting. Sorry guys.
Open.
But it's true. I mean, you can't really.
Do you know what? I don't hate him. And I watched there's like this long 6-minute highlight reel which I just watched, and he looks pretty good. Like he looks like he's acting pretty okay robotically, but
as usual. Yeah.
The thing with these roles is is similar to like Chae Soo-bin in I'm Not a Robot, is that he has to play both the robot and the human and show the difference between the characters. And I did feel like you could see that even in that highlight reel. You could see when he was being a robot and when he was being human. I mean, I think a lot of people have soured on him because of the Entourage debacle and also the Cheese in the Trap fiasco.
I mean, I already didn't like him from like that drama with the heroine has like
Fly and Single again, Cunning Single Woman.
That's right. Yeah, all I can remember about that was the prosthetic foot of the second lead, which that's bad, but it was such an unusual detail that it stuck in my mind. That and how much I didn't like his performance. I think he's just played a lot of really unlikable characters.
Yeah, but what I find is that I always like him in the first half of the drama. And then by the second half, like, you know, his character goes off the rails because he's always a second lead, and that's what second leads do. But like, I really liked him in the first half of Cheese and the Trap, and I really liked him in the first half of Cunning Single Woman. And I didn't watch Entourage, so thank God for that.
And so I think the combination of like the characters he played that I didn't really like, and plus how bad he was at acting in his early career, and he has improved, to be fair. I just, you know how sometimes there's just an actor that just rubs you the wrong way, and you don't really have a good reason for it. And it's just like, it's probably just me.
But Gong Sang-yeon is coming back, and
I love her.
Yeah, she's amazing, and especially after Circle, I'm like, you know, I'm her fan for life. At least until she does a horrible character and I stop liking her. So a lot of people thought that this casting was her being the robot, but of course it's not. But yeah, I'm glad she's coming back, and we have Weasel Lee Jun-hyuk.
Yeah, we always love Lee Jun-hyuk. And the other interesting thing is that it's the director of Gaksutal and Uncontrollably Fond and a lot of other dramas, like tons of dramas. And
I didn't realize it was written by the same writer as Princesses Man. That's actually, right now, this is my biggest draw, because...
And it's entirely pre-produced.
Yeah.
They finished filming it
2017, yeah.
So that's...
I'm optimistic about this one. I'm going to watch it.
Okay. I'll try to get over my biases. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. You don't have to force yourself to watch things you don't want to watch.
I think he just reminds me of a cat, and so I can't buy him as like a hero of drama. I'm just like, you look
Funny
like
you
a
say
cat.
that. He reminds me of a cat who got the cream. So he's not
Right?
just a mere cat. He's like a smug cat. It's that mouth.
I just can't take him
Yeah.
seriously. I'm just like, you're a cat. So airing on June 6th on TVN is What's Wrong with Secretary Kim,
Yay!
which I'm so excited about.
I'm so excited about.
Park Seo-joon, Park Min-young, Lee Tae-hwan. It's basically an arrogant boss and his secretary, which is such a tired trope, but it's Park Seo-joon.
The reason I'm cheering is because of the cast, because I love Park Min-young, and Park Seo-joon is always fun, except, do you know what, actually I'm a little bit more on the, when this was first announced, I was hoping against hope that he was the secretary and she was the boss, because how great would that be?
I was hoping that too.
But after his she was pretty character, I'm wary of
And
Park Seo-joon
like
as a
if you-
CEO.
Yeah, and like it says in the premise description that he's arrogant, and then I watched the trailer, which is just a bunch of scenes of him being like, "Why are you quitting? I like you. I'm yours." And she's like, "You're not my type." And so he's like hitting on her, and she's trying to get away from him, and she's his employee, which is so gross. And I'm like,
yeah.
"No, don't do this," because I want to see these two in like a cute story. Yeah,
You know, if they'd reversed the genders of that, the whole power dynamic would have been messed up as well in a really fun way.
right?
So,
It would have been so interesting.
yeah, I'm disappointed, but I'm still gonna watch the heck out of it when I have
I mean,
time.
we've had misleading trailers before, so maybe it won't.
As long as he's nothing like his character in She Was Pretty.
Yeah.
No, but it would have been too easy to just flip their characters and then have exactly the same story being told. It's been done and it's a bit cliche at this point. I think it's more interesting to have the basic, the secretary boss romance trope, which, by the way, I am an ardent reader of all like Harley Quinn romances, and this is like one of my favorite tropes ever. Especially the 80s books, which were like super problematic now that I think about it. But as a teenager, I did not care.
But the thing is, like, the things that I was okay with as a teenager, I'm like no longer really. I'm like so over it now. I don't want to. But you're right.
Me actively angry.
Yeah, but part of me is so happy that as a teenager I was not like aware of the problems and that I could just enjoy this stuff, because that feeds into a lot of the things that I watch now. And like when they take out the problematic aspects and just leave the good bits, I'm like, my life is like amazing at this point. Okay, sorry, I went off on a tangent.
But no, it's true. Like we didn't know back then. We weren't. Our eyes were closed or whatever, and we were kind of still drinking the Kool-Aid, so we enjoyed that stuff. But like, I just now that I can see the problems, it's hard for me to enjoy stuff like that the way I used to.
Once you see them, you can't unsee them, even though you desperately want to sometimes.
Yeah,
true. I didn't watch the trailer. I just read, like, as soon as this show was announced, I was reading up about every little piece of information they were like letting us have. And the thing that I really liked about it was that apparently, like, that's how they describe the show. Secretary Kim is supposed to be perfect for her boss. Like, everybody thinks so. She's worked hard for him for years. Like, it's a very, Pepper Potts, Iron Man kind of dynamic. And it's like... And he never realized it, and then one day she just ups and leaves, and then suddenly he realizes he needed her all along, and it's like it's been done in 2 weeks' notice. If you guys have watched that Sandra Bullock, what's his name? The
I love that movie.
British guy.
Hugh Grant. I hate Hugh Grant.
I hate him too, but I love that. I'm sorry. It's one of my problematic faves.
Moving on. It's just that this show's been done, but what I would love is if she was never in love with him, because I'm assuming they're going to do the whole thing where she had a secret crush on him but gave up and moved on. And even if that is so, I want her to like legitimately move on, and not move on because the boss never cared about me and boo-hoo, I am a woman who never got her love, and I don't want that to happen. I want her to like flounce off just because she has a different career in mind. She doesn't want to be a secretary forever or something like that. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, like you said, if they take the traditional format, but they really change the characters, like they have the setup that you think that it's just going to be another one of those, but then it really depends on how they write her character, like you're saying, and what her arc is.
And they have such an amazing cast. If they mess this up, I'm gonna be really sad.
Yeah, it's based on a novel that was also published as a webcomic in 2016, so it's clearly very popular. Okay, well, because we love those actors, we'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully it doesn't make us sad. The next one is Life on Mars, which is airing on OCN on starting June 9th. Jung Kyung-ho, Go Ah-sang, and Park Sung-woong, again, amazing cast. It's a crime drama about a detective on a crime investigation team that time travels back to 1988.
Wow.
So it's very much
cool.
like, yeah, if you watch the trailers, there's not much story in it, but it's very like with the 80s music and the sepia tones, and they're all walking around with like leather jackets and, 80s fashion and sunglasses. It looks cool, I'll be honest. It looks very,
Have either of you watched the original?
I have not. Have you seen the original? It was a BBC program, right?
I haven't seen it, but Burma usually has. So I'm expecting her to chime in here.
I haven't watched it. I just watched clips from it.
You failed us.
I'm sorry. I promise to go ahead and watch it if you guys really want me to.
Just to compare.
No, it's okay. Your time is more valuable.
But I did really like what they just this one thing that they told us about the whole time travel thing that I really like, because usually what they do with the rules, right? Like they establish a set of them and then they throw them out of the window by the end of the drama. Yeah. So, but something they did here that I really liked is they simplified it. Like this guy goes back in time and he is just part of the world there. Everybody knows him. He's been assigned to a particular case. He's the only one who feels out of place. Everybody else seems to think that he belongs there. So whatever it is that he's doing, he's not, like it's fish out of water, but people around him, he's either inhabiting a different body or maybe for some bizarre reason, but it just simplifies the entire thing. It's not that he has to hide from someone there, or how convoluted these time travel rules can get. So yeah, I like that.
I'm not a huge fan of time travel K-dramas, but except for when they kind of intersect with the crime drama, because I really think it's interesting how it kind of, like its Signal, where the time travel, I mean, there wasn't actual time travel, but it was like their voices traveling over time. But it kind of, it has a really interesting relationship with like how the mystery gets solved and how the crime gets solved. And, so I like that aspect when they mix those two things together.
I find the concept really interesting. I mean, actually, it almost sounds, if it turns out to be something like a reverse of Tunnel, for example, I'm in for that. That sounds good to me. I'm watching this. What I always find with the remakes is that I'm not interested in watching the originals. So, I mean, this has been around for ages and it's English, and I'm just not interested. But you read the synopsis to me in a K-drama, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this right now. I wonder what that says about our expectations about, what it is that we get from K-dramas that we don't get from the other stuff.
I think it's also partly that now I don't really know a lot of non-Korean actors by their name and their work and like what kind of work they do, and so like I don't really follow people, whereas in Korean dramas I don't follow people exactly, but you kind of know what somebody's been doing, and you've seen their previous performances, and you're interested to see like their take on something. And I feel like that makes me more interested to see a remake of something that I might not necessarily have watched the original of, because it's just like a bunch of random actors that I've never heard of, and a writer that I have know nothing about, and a production team. With this, it's the director of Heartless City and The Good Wife and Criminal Minds, weirdly, and the writer of Bring It On Ghost. So I'm that makes me interested. So whereas,
Criminal Minds, Sin was not its directing. Sin was its writing. Like the directing was fine, it was good, and the cast was great. The problem was how it was written. So you've got the writer of Princess's Man here, and Princess's Man is a drama that I will never watch again, not for the obvious reason, but because
it's not the writer Princess.
Oh, wait, no, that was a different one.
It's the writer Bring It On Ghost.
Oh, wait, sorry, I was confusing it with the other one. Oh, Are You Human Too? You're right. Yeah, Bring It On Ghost, that had fairly good reviews, didn't it? I didn't watch it, but...
I didn't watch it either, but I remember
it seemed reasonably popular.
And weirdly, there's a lot of connections because Bring It On Ghost writer is doing Life on Mars, and the director of Bring It On Ghost is doing What's Wrong with Secretary Kim.
Oh, yeah.
And he also directed Because This Is My First Life, Let's Eat 1 and 2. Yeah, so...
I did watch Bring It On Ghost, and it was a pretty good drama. Like, as far as emotional beats are concerned, they did land well. Like, it was a pretty decently written drama. So,
how did it handle the supernatural aspect?
I think it handled it was always a bit campy, and they let it be campy. It didn't become overly melodramatic at any point. So, and it was pretty predictable. Like, the girl was in a coma and she thought she was dead and blah, blah, blah. But whatever, those are predictable tropes, and they ran with it, and it was pretty good because it was all about the chemistry between the ghost girl, and the boy who could see the ghost. So, yeah, it worked.
Yeah, I have faith in this director, and I mean, obviously, Jung Kyung-ho can do anything. So,
I don't think I've seen him in anything,
Really?
I think, I'm going to quickly look it up, but I don't think I have. I mean, obviously I know the name, but...
Yeah, I think his first drama way back was like Smile You, which is like a super long family drama he did with Lee Min-jung back when they were like unknowns. But I remember that a lot because he was the first real beta hero that I've ever seen in a Korean drama. He was totally the beta male, and he got the girl, and he was just such a nice guy who was like not aggressive at all, and I was like, oh, this is nice. So that's stuck in my mind.
He's reuniting with the director from Heartless City, right? That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen anything he's been in.
He's also in that heart transplant drama with Kim So-yeon. What was it called?
The one that P watched, which goes by a couple of different names: Falling for Innocence or Beating Again.
Or Beating Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was in Prison Playbook, I think, although I didn't watch that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen him in something else, but he's really good.
He's been in a bunch of things that I, for one reason or another, haven't watched. But I do mean to watch Heartless City, but I'm like still not emotionally ready.
Dude, I just watched the first few episodes because of that one action scene, like in that narrow trench-like area. Like, it was basically a narrow corridor, and there was this amazing action scene that everybody was talking about. So I just like powered through the first couple of episodes just to watch that, and it was worth it. I did not stick with it beyond that.
I remember that this was airing at the same time as Secret was airing, and I could only handle like one super intense drama at a time. So everyone else was watching Heartless City, and I was watching Secret. So
yeah,
that's
and
why
I
I haven't
remember
got around
everyone raving
to it
about it too. But I was in my final year of undergrad, and I was like so stressed out, and I was like, I don't need something. I need rom-coms right now. Like, I just can't. So
yeah, and that one, if I remember correctly, Heartless City was like a proper punch to your gut type of
I'm
drama.
still trying to forget the spoiler that I know about it. So when I forget it, that's when I can watch it.
Well, we've finished all of our upcoming dramas. Do you want to talk about Grandpa's Over Flowers?
Oh, Grandpa's Over Flowers, which I don't actually watch, but I used to read the recaps of because it was never available subbed. But yeah, that's back. With the full original cast of Grandpa's. They haven't revealed the location yet. But yeah, that should be fun. I do wish.
Did you guys ever watch like the American remake of the show?
Oh, that doesn't sound like it would be good.
Yeah, I heard someone's review of it on like an American TV podcast, and they were just so baffled by it. But they also kind of found it charming. But they were also like, "This is really corny," and it was weird. It was one of those weird intersections where I'm just like listening to one of my other podcasts, and they start talking about something that's like related to Korean dramas and variety, and I was like, "Whoa, this is interesting. This is a weird worlds colliding moment."
Oh, this is like seeing the Seo-won story on Metro, and just for anyone who doesn't know, the Metro is a free newspaper that is given out in London. Like you can get it on the underground. It's distributed for free every day. Its online incarnation is sort of like the Daily Mail's Tongseng. So it's a complete rag. It's a total sensationalist rag with like no real journalism. And to see the Issa-won story there actually written quite comprehensively and well, that was a culture shock. Like, whoa, why are my worlds kind of crossing over here? But that was that was
that's
weird.
interesting.
Because someone in the metro is a Korean drama fan. How
They
amazing
must
would that
be. That's weird.
Yeah, that's the only explanation. So that covers all the upcoming stuff that's going to be coming in June.
And I think we're finally ready to move on to what we're actually watching.
What are we talking about first, Parma?
So guys, you had the amazing experience of recapping Pretty Noona. How was that for you?
It started out amazing, and then it kind
did.
of fell into the.
And why is it that these like these kind of endings only happen to drama that start out so amazing?
I have a theory, and it changed everything for me. Like after the show ended, and everyone was talking about it, and it all began to sink in. And I was thinking about it for like 2 weeks. I'm still thinking about it. And it suddenly occurred to me that we've been watching it all wrong, or rather, it's been branded wrong and sold to us under false premises. But what if Gina is in fact an anti-heroine, and this was not a romance? We were wrong. Because when you look at it that way, suddenly everything changes. Because this is not meant to be a drama about someone growing. It's not a drama about growth, it's about regression. It's not about resolution, it's about the failure to reach it. It's about someone who keeps on making mistakes endlessly and doesn't learn from them. And then suddenly it takes on a new light for me. And then I still hate it, but I can, it feels more experimental, like they're trying to do something there. But then I don't know if we're giving it too much credit.
Yeah, I mean, I saw those at the end of Pretty Noona as well, like the comments about how they're trying to comment on something. And with this director, I guess I can buy that because he tends to do dramas that tackle interesting social issues. But at the same time, I remember I was in the beginning when I was taking notes around it was very early on, maybe first couple episodes, and I wrote down is this a misogynistic show? ? And I still don't really know how I feel or what the answer to that question is. And if you're right and they are trying to do a story about an anti-heroine, I don't think that they really succeeded, because then what's the point of the story?
Yeah, my second point to that was, my rejoinder to my own point was, there is no purpose to this show except to demoralize. All it does is it demoralizes, and it ultimately, what I find, what my conclusion is here, is that it's punching down. There's no merit, there's no value, and in fact there's not even any novelty in telling this story, because this is a story that plays out in some way in practically every woman's life. It's a realism that does not need fictionalization if all you're going to do is give it that kind of ending. It's fundamentally disempowering.
Okay, so my take on it is that it was meant to be demoralizing. The creators of this drama gave us a heroine who's messed up to begin with, but she gets into a good relationship. She seems to be trying to better herself, her circumstances. The people around her start getting supportive, and you're thinking, oh, hey, this is good. Maybe this is aspirational. This is what we want to see. And then they turn around and slap us back down and tell us, no, that's not going to happen. You really thought you could get out of that kind of situation. You can't. You're going to regress. Everything's going to go to shit. And you're just going to live the way you were. Your actions are going to repeat themselves. Your relationship, the wonderful relationship that was almost redemptive, is going to end up being sort of a pseudo abusive thing that and your relationship with your parents will never change, and your relationship with your workplace will never change. You just hoped for it, and
And
it
the
didn't
world
work
will
out.
never change.
And again,
You know.
I reiterate,
Yeah.
then what was the point of this story?
Exactly.
You know, like,
Okay, here I have a theory, and it's like a super dark theory. It's that someone looked around, saw all of this Me Too anti-harassment thing happening, and they were like, you know what? Let's just grab the zeitgeist and show these guys that that's bullshit. You're never going to have like a positive outcome from all of this protest, and what's going to happen is that you're just going to be peddling water in the same social dark waters that you've been in all along.
It's
I don't know.
miserable.
That's exactly
Do you know
how
what? I actually
but I mean,
think
that
go on.
kind of sounds plausible, even though it's horrible to think.
Yeah. But like this kind of story, I wouldn't. If it had been a 2-hour film, I'd be like, you know what? That was brutal, but I get it. But when you've invested, and this was a 16-episode drama, but it was well over 20 hours long. When you have been through 20 hours of misery, and for us recapping it, it was like, you know, you're watching closely, so it's even worse. And also, yeah, the ending, if it had been going for that, then that tacked on reunion at the end, like that didn't fit. It didn't work. The writer, I don't know whether it was intended to be that way, but that it didn't feel like it stayed true to its sort of dark, cynical trajectory. If you're gonna do that,
Oh, but it kind
The
of
other
did,
thing-
right? You come back to your abuser. You do that. You do that all the time. That's what he did. He came back to this relationship that, in reality, he should have run away from.
Okay, but so if that is the case, and they're trying to show that it's hopeless and all that, but then, like you said, Saya, it's also punching down because I would have been okay with a story where it showed like a heroine that was dealing with all this stuff, but then she had some personal growth, and even if she wasn't able to win in her fight against the workplace sexual harassment, and even if her relationship with Junhee, who seemed like the perfect guy, didn't work out and she ended up single, at least I would have liked her to grow a little bit or learn something or understand. But instead she just ends up like as this, nothing really works out for her in the end except like this toxic relationship somehow. Yeah, she keeps running away. She doesn't learn anything. And in a way, like some people are saying, oh, well, she's a flawed heroine. It's nice to see a flawed heroine. But I almost feel like the way that the story is written is showing how she went through all this crap, but she's a garbage person anyway. So like, it's okay. And women are stupid and they make mistakes. And so they deserve. I don't know, but it makes me feel really gross because it makes it seem like all the stuff that happened to her was ultimately her fault. And that's usually not the case when you're dealing with this kind of stuff in your life.
Like, it's an ultimately toxic story. Like, everything about it feels toxic. And that's why, again, with the demoralizing and punching down.
I don't think it was done with some kind of goal of irony or setting up this, I don't know, sad trajectory, this tragic story. No, I think somebody, and okay, I think
storytelling just fell down. Like, they couldn't keep hold of the story they wanted to tell.
I don't think I can give them that excuse because they have actually stayed very true to her character. How can you keep the character so consistent if it was a failure of story? Clearly, this character was very clear in the writer's mind.
The other interesting point is that this Son Ye-jin accepted this role after reading the scripts for all 16 episodes, and the showrunners have said that they didn't change anything. So
yeah, that's also weird to me.
I don't know. This is really strange. I don't know what to make. Still, I don't know what to make of it. Like, we can interpret it any which way. Like, we can attribute it to a kind of an unexpected genius, or we can say that no, it was a complete failure of writing. But ultimately, there's not like you say, the characters remained consistent, but it takes work to keep them from growing because growth is natural. It does actually, happen automatically and inevitably sometimes.
And I'm with Burma, I'm with you on this. Even though it's a dark theory, it checks out because like you said, the writing wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't one of those dramas where like they're just like taking all these weird plot turns and you're like, wait, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't stay consistent to the character. Like, it's actually pretty well written. It's just like really messed up. And I wasn't arguing against what you were saying. I was just saying that I've seen some people saying that it has a message that's actually empowering to women, and I just don't.
No, I think the message is the opposite. I think it is disempowering. It is. It's designed to demoralize. That's what I mean about it not having value or purpose. If we generally accept that the purpose of any of this kind of entertainment media is to in some way uplift something, this doesn't do that at all in any way.
Yeah.
Oh my
and
God,
like there wasn't a single
episodes. How many episodes did they spend? I'm just talking about like her workplace subplot. Yeah. How many episodes did they spend building up the whole harassment issue? Yeah, like I think 12, 13 episodes was just the build up.
And then it
nothing
didn't
was
even
happening. Nobody was actually filing complaints.
It didn't even go out with a whimper. It just sort of
it happened off screen.
Yeah, like we don't even know what happened. Like we literally don't know what happened because they didn't bother telling us.
Right. We just know that she got like demoted and sent somewhere else, and that all the people who harassed her are still working for that company and they're fine. And it feels even more gross because they show you the abuse happening
nudge,
on
wink,
screen
wink thing with
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but like you have to watch her and the other women being, groped and abused in a really gross way. And they keep showing it over and over again. Like, they have these like video evidence. And so like, it almost feels like an excuse to like keep showing you that, but then you don't see any of the consequences. So the fact that they don't show you any of the consequences or anybody or her even, attempting to, confront her abusers or attempting to bring them to trial or any kind of resolution, it just makes that feel really gross in retrospect that they spent all that time showing you that. Like, yeah, it just feels gross.
Can I add something there as well? Because it's interesting you say that it seemed like an excuse to keep on showing it, which is may well be true. Because as I was reading up on a bunch of different stories, I came across a story about how what is it called? Wait, hold on. Secret camera porn, basically. Molcam porn. So they have like people, it's like an epidemic in Korea right now. People set up secret cameras to film women doing their various daily whatever, whether it's in the toilet or in the shower or just upskirting or anything, but it like of their wives, their daughters, maybe not daughters, maybe daughters, wives, girlfriends, daughters, family members, mothers.
Oh, gross.
And this is like such a big problem in Korea now that there are groups that are lobbying for the restriction of sales of hidden cameras. So basically the hidden cameras are, just harmless household objects with cameras in them that you would never know are there. And they're arguing that this is a taste for more natural. They have a taste for natural porn, like women in their natural environments. So this is a thing right now. It's we'll put links into the information section for people who want to read about it.
Yeah, it also reminds me of that story that you shared about like Me Too in Korea. I think it's from February, where there was one prosecutor, I think, who came out with her story. And when she first spoke out, I think she got sent to like some kind of provincial office. And basically, like, there was no investigation, there was no nothing. But then, like, when she came out with it publicly, a lot of other people started sharing their stories too in a lot of different fields. There was a lot of women who were supporting her and who were speaking about their own experience. So, like, that's the only thing that felt really authentic, is that fact that she gets sent to that like random, place out in the countryside, and she's just, demoted in everything but name.
Spy cam porn, that's what it's called.
Ugh. I feel like I need to take a shower now. Should we move on to a poem a day so that we can
finish it,
refresh our souls? Yeah.
Enough dystopia.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, a permaday, the total opposite. You know, the interesting thing is when we started these shows, we were like so into Noona, and I think I had quite a hard time convincing you guys to start a permaday as well. And they turned out to have these totally opposite trajectories. So
Yeah, like if we go back to our last yak, we were complaining about the first few episodes and how like it was so difficult to get through certain hackneyed plots and stuff, but by the end of it, my God, the experience was completely different.
Oh, it was so delightful. Just left me with a smile on my face.
Yeah, it was just, what's so great is I agree with anyone who says, I mean, I'm sure there are people who found it boring and just dropped it, and I agree that it had a very low conflict quotient, but it was a completely different experience of, like, how the hero, like, you had the good guy win out, like, virtue was rewarded, and it sounds like an old-fashioned thing to say or to expect, but what happens in dramas and in romance in general is that jerks are rewarded, and the good guy is always the guy who loses out because good guys never win. But this was different.
I really loved that.
I like that it respected the heroine's choice. But more than that, it was that the heroine's choice mattered. Like, she got to actually choose according to her true values, not, like, she wasn't swayed by tropes, which is what always happens.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, sorry, just one point and then I'll stop.
Yeah, go ahead.
The person that you're most rooting for in this drama and the person that you love the most in this drama was Boyoung. It was, Iyubi's character, and she was so wonderful to the end.
Yeah, for once, it was the heroine who got all the development. Instead of having a heroine who's basically a static character and she's like just good from day one and she remains good and she's lovable and like she's very pretty and you know why the hero would fall in love with her, but he's the one that gets all the development. But in this, it was about her. It was about her professional career. It was about her journey to like falling in love and having a relationship and getting her confidence back. Like, it was so, and she did such a great job with her performance. Yubi has been really good from the beginning, but she's had a bunch of not so great roles, and I feel like she deserves to be a bigger star than she is right now. So it was really nice to see her in this, and Lee Jun-hyuk was just so
hilarious.
He was so good. Like, he had that perfect blend of like dorkiness and handsomeness that just like, and he's like a dork, but then he's also like really competent at his job, which is so nice to see, and without being a jerk about it. Like someone who's really good and successful at their job and is also a good person. Why is that so rare to find in a drama?
It's so rare in real life.
It is. But
and
it's
also,
nice to see in fiction.
The amazing thing is that for once, they had a pair with clear age and power difference, but it never felt predatory and it never felt like he would abuse his power. He never ever did that. He only used his power to protect her, protect his teammates, and it was so good to see. Because we are not used to seeing guys, especially guys with so much success behind them, like heroes with so much success behind them actually being nice to his teammates, like in his own way.
Yeah. And he was so respectful of her as a person. And he didn't just treat her like, you're below me, so you just have to listen. And I know better than you because I'm older and I'm a man. And, all that gross stuff.
And that like totally nails what really was amazing about the relationship is that it was rooted in respect. And like everything started from respect and admiration, and like I know a lot of people were like, because at the end they did bring up this question of whether whether love is being comfortable with someone or whether it's sort of showing them your best self, and I felt like the story stopped us short of showing that point where they'd reached that comfort, but I have no doubt that those two would become comfortable over time. And I said this in the recap, but to me it just felt like an old-fashioned marriage. You don't, like arranged marriage type of marriages, the couple might not know each other very well when they get married, but over time they develop that closeness and comfort.
Right.
And I feel like this is what was happening with them. We saw that process begin with them. Like, they made active decisions to share. And it was just so nice to see that.
Absolutely.
That's a really good analogy, Zaya, because there is a difference in life experience between them. And that was true of old-fashioned arranged marriages. Usually the men had more life experience. So it's not like your husband could immediately be your best friend. But there are so many stories of, over time, people getting close together and then becoming the closest confidant. And what I loved about the finale was that they were already stepping towards it. The moment he realized that she doesn't feel completely comfortable with him, it bothers him, because that's where he wants to get to eventually. Like, she doesn't see him as a friend; she sees him as a potential partner, and eventually they will, because they are very honest with each other. They talk to each other whenever there's an issue. They talk it out. So I'm pretty sure they will get there.
And what you were both saying about respect, and also like Paroma, what you were saying about how there's always that worry that he's going to take advantage when the guy is in a position of more power. But if anything, with this one, it was Minho who was taking advantage of her in a different way, because even though like in a workplace situation she was a superior, but he like used their closeness of being formerly like classmates and kind of being friends to hurt her and to take advantage of her and to disrespect her, in a way that he probably wouldn't have been able to get away with if they were strangers. And so like that whole thing of like, oh, I'm comfortable with you as a code for I feel free to treat you like crap because we're close. It really exposed that hypocrisy of his whole like, oh, like she can't relate to him because he's so old and stuffy and he doesn't understand you, and so I really liked how they kind of subtly showed that in a really nice way.
And actually, I felt that Boyoung and what's his name, Dr. Ye, that they understood each other on a more fundamental level than sort of a youthful fling, or like it was a much more mature understanding that they had. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but like there was something that clicked between them immediately, and it wasn't sort of chemistry and like physical attraction. It was like an attraction to the values that they each held.
But that's what makes a relationship last in the long run. It's not, that chemistry and that physical attraction. It's like, you are a valuable person in my life, and I want you to be in my life because I think you're someone I can respect and love, and
Yeah, but it's something we rarely see. Like, it's not even something given a lot of value in real life, never mind in Dramaland.
Yeah.
It's always about, do you have chemistry? Chemistry is important, because without chemistry you can't have a relationship. But that's actually not necessarily true, because the sort of most long-lasting and strong relationships come through having the shared values.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I also just want to point out that like I really liked the way they used poetry.
Oh,
and
that was
even though by the end they were still doing that, catchphrase thing, which I was never totally on board with. But by the end I was like, I love the characters so much, and I had so much affection for like the cast, and they did such a great job with the small stories of the patients, which normally in these kind of slice of life dramas, you care about the cast, the main cast, and even like the ensemble, but you generally don't get moved that much by, people who are just there for one episode and you see their story. But they did such a great job of like weaving those in, and like I cried a lot more sometimes over some of the patients even, or some of the side stories, like the old lady with the cart, so the poems were really, really well done, I thought.
I just wanted to add something before we move on from this. Two things actually. One thing is that I really appreciate that this was a medical drama that didn't focus on doctors. I hope that next time there is one, they focus on nurses, because without nurses, hospitals would not run. And most medical dramas tend to show doctors or interns doing things that usually nurses would be doing. It's a weird thing medical dramas do. They completely obliterate nurses. I want a drama that focuses on just nurses.
Maybe what we need is a
agree.
remake of Call the Midwife.
Okay,
I
I'm
haven't
fine
seen
with
that. Yeah.
Um,
Nurses get so disrespected even in real life too. That's the problem. No one appreciates
Yeah.
nurses, and they
Well,
do so much more work than doctors, honestly.
Oh my God, yeah. Like they look, it's not just that the hospitals wouldn't run without nurses. Doctors can potentially make so many mistakes, and the first people who generally tend to catch these mistakes and save lives are nurses because they are completely conversant with the patient's everything. Like they know everything about the patient. The doctor
Yeah.
just comes in for consultation. In most cases, the doctor doesn't know shit about the patient. If the nurse wasn't there to make sure that, like he isn't prescribing something that this person is allergic to, the patient would most likely be dead because the doctor has to go and look at another 50. Okay, I'm just going to shut up now. You guys get my
Can I
vibe,
make a
right?
semi-recommendation here?
Totally
Because
agree, though.
Sure.
semi-recommendation. I don't know if we can watch it anymore because Seo-won, but Hospital Ship was really good about this. It was very low key, and it was again, a lot of people like panned it for being dull and having no chemistry and things like that. But I really liked it. It was on last year, and it reminded me, Permaday reminded me a lot of the same sort of vibe and energy that you had from Hospital Ship, which was just warm, healing, low key, and yeah, it was like that. But yeah, I don't know if we can watch it anymore after Isoon, which is a shame.
Well, but we'll leave our audience to decide for themselves.
Yeah, they can decide what they want.
The other thing that I wanted to say about A Poem a Day was that I know the catchphrases annoyed you, Lisa,
I
but
really enjoyed them.
Yeah, I did too, and especially
Chungkwon 할까요?
I enjoyed
Shall I
that.
give you an advice?
I love that Yejimuk had, something that made him ridiculous. Because it's so
That's
rare
true.
that we have leading male characters being made to look silly. Because not just because of something situational that passes, not because slapstick comedy, but because of something in their personality. And I love that he had this one thing that everybody laughed at him for, but he was so, he stuck to it.
Do you notice how, over time, everyone had made an imitation of him doing that?
That was actually,
yeah.
that was the one catchphrase that really didn't bother me, especially by the end. I was like, it made me smile. So you're right, it did grow on me, especially the "Can I give you some advice?" That was.
I suspect that this is one of those things that's going to end up being parodied in other dramas later on. It just
also
especially
like how by
the way
end they were like
they'd
all
clamp their
doing
jaws together and do it.
Yeah, I also like how by the end, like everyone was imitating Boyoung's like fanning of her tears, but not in a mean way, but in like an affectionate way. Whereas in the beginning they were mocking her in like a mean way. So
and then I saw it in another drama, and I was like, oh my goodness.
So this isn't a recent drama, but I finished watching Age of Youth 2, which I'd only seen the first episode of when I was like dying of a really bad cold virus a couple weeks ago. And I just kind of binge watched it, and I think I was kind of prepared for there's something that happens at the end that I won't spoil that I had kind of heard about that people were a little bit not so happy about. But because I already knew about that, it didn't really bother me, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it was really nice. Second season that, properly paid homage to all the people that didn't return, and it did a really good job talking about like relationships and friendship and family, and the new cast members were really good. It was very heartwarming. I cried. And it surprisingly took on some really serious issues of like violence, and I mean the first one did too, but like again it tackled this issue of like sexual violence against women, and just like intimate partner violence and stuff like that. So that was and it was very well done. So it was nice to watch that in contrast with Pretty Noona Who Buys Me Food, which was just terrible on that front. So yeah, highly recommend. But it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet, but it's not bittersweet in a way that made me feel like cheated or upset or anything. I really, really enjoyed it. Both seasons are so good. So highly recommend both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and if you're watching it on Netflix, it's called Hello My 20s for some inexplicable reason, which just makes me mad.
They always change names on Netflix. We don't know
But this
why.
isn't particularly egregious. I just don't. It just makes it sound like such a cheesy, horrible show. I know, and the original title is so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, end rant. But I just wanted to put that out there, just to make it easier to find for people. Okay, go ahead and move on to the.
We're going to move on to currently airing dramas, and we've all sampled a bit of a few of them, and I kind of wanted to cover About Time. I just watched the first episode, and so far it's looking really good. Like, I was told it was going to be like Master's Son Redux, but Sai, did you happen to watch it?
I haven't had time yet, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'll just be quick then. I am enjoying. What's her name? I always forget. What's her name, man? Lee Sang-kyung, thanks. I'm really enjoying Lee Sang-kyung's performance. We know she's an amazing actress, and it's a pleasure to see her in leading roles, because somehow whenever she used to do secondary roles, she would be given these really hackneyed peculiar character traits, but as the leading lady, she can just be, this one person without weird tics, I guess. And she is really, she does emotions so well, and she's completely sold me on this character who knows exactly when she's going to die. And it's this is revealed in the first episode. That's how they kind of grab you, and I really like that. She knows exactly how much time she's got left, and it's not much. And she wants to accomplish some things before she dies, and it's not like a huge bucket list type of thing. It's a very specific goal. She wants to do something, and she's been practicing for it. She's trying out, and it's not working, and she's feeling really demoralized. And being able to see her clock literally count down to the day of her ultimate death is not fun. So when she meets this guy, what's the guy's name? Lee Sang-kyung is the girl.
Lee Sang-yoon.
Dude, I'll never be able to. I just pronounce it exactly the same. The guy's name is Lee Sang-kyung.
His name is Lee Sang-yoon, and her name is Lee Sung-kyung.
Ah, that's different.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's similar though.
So, fuck me.
The ultimate despair.
Okay.
So, it's okay, just say the hero.
Okay, fine. So when she finally meets the hero, who initially I thought, look, the age gap is obvious, and he is such a grumpy guy. It's not even you can literally see his age on his face, and that it was gonna be creepy, but it's at least not in the first episode. It's not. Her desperation is so real, and he's already suffering from trauma from something that had happened before. And they both need help emotionally, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they provide that emotional help to each other, because right now it's very Master of Sunny, where she realizes, this guy helps me not see death on everybody's face, and she knows exactly when everybody's dying, which is the most horrible talent to ever have. And he stops the clock for her. So I like the premise a lot. The emotions are there, and I'm going to watch the second episode and see how I feel about it. So yeah. Okay, so that was About Time. And if they did the reshoots, they did a really good job. I'm well done. Cast and crew, I'm sure they had to really, really bust their ass to do it. And I'm just well done, guys. And I hope all of you are sane and alive and getting paid really well for overtime. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I second that.
Yeah, me too.
Woke of Love. You have watched that, right?
Oh, I'm up to date on this.
I watched the first 2 half-hour episodes this morning, so I've also seen it.
Yeah, so did I. I've just watched the first 2. Sai, do you want to talk about it?
There's not that much to say except that it's absolutely insane, but I love it. It's
so bonkers.
It's crazy, and nothing makes sense for the first 4 episodes, as in 4 half-hour episodes. And even then, I think it had put all of the pieces in place by last week. So I don't even know what episode we're on now. Is it episode 12 or something?
What?
No, 16. We're on 16. So basically, it took until 12 episodes for it to get all of the pieces in place, and then you finally have the whole story.
6 hours.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
6 hours. But it's worth
And the
it
amazing
because
thing is that so many people have actually stuck to episode 2. I was reading a comment on a website somewhere.
like it grabs you, even though things don't make sense. The
thing
characters
is,
grab you right away.
Yeah, and like these 3 main leads are so good, and
They
like
are
you
so
said,
good.
it's so weird and so crazy, but it's not. I mean, I think I had an unpopular opinion when regards to this drama. Do you guys remember like Woohoo Waikiki? I like it was also had a really weird premiere episode, and it just didn't work for me, and I was like, this is weird. It was like weird and wacky, but it was also boring and unfunny to me personally. I know a lot of people really enjoyed it. With this one, I'm like, I don't know what the heck is going on, but I'm so here for it. Like Long Yak and his like weird gangster. Also, like this writer is one of my favorite writers, so I'm also kind of willing to give her the benefit of the doubt because I just like
the same thing happened in Jealousy Incarnate actually, which is that the first 6 episodes were just like it didn't come together until 6 episodes in. So it kind of seems like a
No. I don't think you can compare this to Jealousy Incarnate. It was never this insane, dude. They started
It
the
wasn't
drama
this
with
insane, but it was that I do remember this because I was recapping it. I remember that stuff didn't the whole picture didn't come into view until 6 episodes in.
That's true, but I still found it interesting and enjoyable to watch from the beginning, even if we didn't quite know where the story was going.
Unless you were saying
and
this
it is.
isn't.
No, I agree. It is very enjoyable to watch. It's just incredibly. I just
and for
don't know
some
what's going on.
inexplicable reason, you have Imi Suk playing 2 characters.
Yeah. What is that?
Why?
She has her 2.
Why?
Yeah, Imi Suk, and who's the other character who was also Jealousy Incarnate, who played her frenemy?
Pak
oh
Jio.
yeah,
Both of them are in this. I think this writer just really loves those 2 actresses, and they probably love her too. So they're like, yeah, we'll come back.
She probably writes the characters especially for them.
Also, an interesting thing to me is that I feel like this writer has a fixation on pathetic and sad gangsters trying to turn over a new leaf, and also cooking.
Cooking.
She wrote pasta. She wrote Miss Korea. There's a chef character in Jealousy Incarnate too, who's kind of sad. Yeah. And weird and charismatic. So I feel like she has a thing for chefs and a thing for gangsters who are trying to reform themselves.
So now they've been married in this drama to be gangster chefs.
I'm here for it, to be honest. It's so weird, but it's so much the character, the cast,
But what's undeniable is Jang Hyuk and Jang Won have the best chemistry. And I've just seen them in 2 episodes. I want them together by the end of this drama. I don't care what else happens. I don't care what Junho, I'm sure he's a perfectly nice gentleman.
I think you're on the sinking ship, P.
I'm also on the ship. Don't tell me that. I love them together too. Ever since she was like, haircut makes you look like a gangster, and he was like, cut more, but I'm in love with you. And I was like, yes.
Yeah,
OTP.
And he's so in touch with his emotions, and he's he's great.
Yeah, and he's I love that. The first thing he says to her almost is, don't get married because divorcing is hard.
It's so awkward.
Serious, and look. Yeah, but every time these 2 are on, every time he says something, I'm cracking up. And look, I'm just tired of Jang Hyuk not getting the girl.
Keep watching. It gets a million times better every episode.
I also even just in 1 hour, I've fallen in love with the heroine so much because it's a very unusual character to see this really. I mean, she just seems like a really nice person who's kind of a busybody, but in a really harmless and sweet way where she just wants to help everyone and spread around more happiness and give people advice, but not in a nosy way,
Yeah, and what astounds me is that right before that she did Witch's Court, and she was this sly sort of cynical character there, and it was just And I loved her. I loved her there. Okay, she was almost immoral. And from that, she switches to this girl. And like, they're equally believable. Like, when I'm watching Jang Hyo-won in Greasy Melo, I'm not even thinking about her other character. Like, she's completely sold me on this one. So yeah, that's...
I didn't see Witch's Court, but I watched her in, I think it was History of a Salaryman. She's hilarious in that. Totally different. And she was also really good in King of Dramas. Also totally different. She's just so good in everything.
She was really good in Bubblegum, but she had a frustrating character.
In what?
Yeah.
Bubblegum. That whole
Bubblegum.
movie was really frustrating.
I didn't watch Bubblegum.
You didn't miss anything. Except Chung Hyo-won and Lee Dong-wook being very cute. That's all. The rest of it
that was the reason that I wanted to watch that drama. But it just kind of passed me by, and then I was like, I'll go back and watch it someday. But I guess you're saying not to.
Look for clips.
Okay.
But you don't like cancer dramas, right? That's very cancer drama.
Oh, no, okay. No way. Not watching it. No cancer drama for me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And to think she got introduced to us as Cancer Girl.
I know!
In My Name is Kim Sang-soo.
And yeah, she's the original Cancer Girl from 2005.
And the fact that we still call her Cancer Girl.
She was so memorably irritating and just wouldn't go away.
She was the Cancer ex-girlfriend. That was her entire. That was all she had to offer. Yeah, her character had no redeeming qualities.
But let's move on.
But we love Lawyer.
Go on, Anisa. Finish what you were saying.
No, I was just saying, but we love Jung Won.
We do.
Despite that character.
We do. Okay, so should we move on to Lawless Lawyer now?
Ooh, yeah.
That's you, because you're the only one who's watched it so far, I think.
I want to hear what you
How
think.
is this possible?
There's no time!
And also, Saya's been burned by Criminal Minds. She just needs a break.
It's true that I was, but I absolutely am on board for Lawless Lawyer, I just haven't had time.
These are all unacceptable excuses.
Even as we speak, I don't have time.
Seriously.
No, man.
Like, I actually have to go.
I have a list of dramas that I'm going to start after Ramadan. Right now, I'm just like, there's no time.
There is no time in life.
Okay, but
really quickly, Lawless Lawyer.
Yeah, like, we'll find time at some point and watch this, because Lee Jun-ki is, like, Lee Jun-ki here. Actually, you know what? Someone pointed out after the fact, like, I'd already finished watching 16 episodes and I was all, hey, it's going so well. And I really like Soye-ji here. Her character is really straightforward, and I don't know how to, like, she's very pragmatic. Like, she goes through these revelations that are heart-wrenching, and she's feeling all broken and sad, and then she gets up, brushes off, and she's like, okay, I've got to verify facts. I've been told some things. I need to go out and investigate, make sure that these facts are true. I love that about her. When was the last time a heroine was this, like, thorough? And she's like, this is my job. Like, she's a lawyer. And she's like, okay, this is my job. I'm like, investigation is something I'm good at. I will show that I'm good at it. And we actually see her coming up with leads and stuff. And yes, there is this frustrating situation where Lee Jun-ki is not divulging certain things to her character. And he's sort of like sent her off to do good work, and he's gone off to do his stuff without telling her what it is. But, you know, I keep expecting that she's going to go off on a goose chase while he's going to solve the case on his own, or something equally annoying is going to happen. But no, it's her lead that actually lands them the clue that they need to solve the case. So yeah, okay, so anyway, 6 episodes in, I was pretty happy with the pairing. Their chemistry was great, and all of that, yay. Somebody though pointed out, and I have to kind of admit that Lee Jun-ki here is very big star. You know what I mean? Like, he has all of his, like, star persona in this drama. Like, when he enters a room, smoke dissipates. Like, when he is kicking bad guys, everything is slow motion. And he does parkour, and I think he might have.
Oh, that drives me nuts. I don't know.
Do you know what? It's because he's such a natural at action scenes, because he's so great at them. Everyone loves being able to film that frame by frame. Like, he doesn't need a stuntman or anything with his
true.
like
That's true.
Is
True.
it third degree?
Look, he's poetry in motion, given. But how many fighting scenes can they possibly squeeze into the first 4 episodes?
Look,
I
man,
lost count.
you haven't watched Bad Guys 2, okay? Talk to
That
me
is true.
about unnecessary fight scenes when you watch Bad Guys 2. Oh, I'm still so mad.
But yeah, so far, yeah, I like these two, and I like where this drama is going. And yes, okay, lawyering is very like you have to suspend your disbelief hard when you're watching this drama. Some things happen that cannot possibly be stuff that lawyers are allowed to do, and it's clearly unprofessional behavior that nobody but drama heroes would appreciate. But we'll just move on from there, and
Well, we can move on from there to Suits, which is about more lawless lawyers because
which you'll have to catch us up on. But
yeah, basically. The thing is with Suits is that it's very slick, but it's not particularly fast or like there's no urgency in the plot or anything like that. I'm enjoying it, but in a kind of a low-key way. But there are a lot of like I don't know if this is because of the source material or just because this is how it's been worked, but they do a lot of things that lawyers shouldn't do. Like there's so much.
That's true of the source material as well. But the source material is pretty fast paced.
Right.
It was very clipping. You know how American shows are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's actually like as it's not slow paced. I just feel like it's relaxed because like with the cases, the details and things, half the time I don't even understand them. I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. I'm just here to watch the the cast chemistry and stuff. So in that sense, I don't think it cares that much itself about whether you understand the fine details of a case, because the reason that I don't get every fine detail is because they are glossing over a bit of it, just kind of expecting you to follow along. And I remember this Criminal Minds did this as well, and maybe it's a thing that remakes do. They kind of assume you know things and they just skip over details. It's all right. It's not a work of art, but it's fun.
No.
It's fun for the cast.
Are they doing that thing where they sort of gloss over the details of the case, but then they like build up to that, like that's brilliant legal move thing where they all like blow you away with their legalese?
It's not as it doesn't concentrate on the cases so much as it concentrates on the relationships, and that that's pretty much why I'm watching it anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not like a stressful, suspenseful watch. It's just like a kind of almost like a slice of life, a lawyery slice of life. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel very high stakes. It feels quite sort of medium to low. It's relaxing. I find it quite relaxing. But yeah, they do a lot of questionable stuff.
You're not like this is not exactly like what do they call it? High recommendation from you. It's so relaxing. I could almost fall asleep.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's weird to hear about like a legal drama that's relaxing. That's not what I was expecting.
I think it does intend.
The adjective I usually go for.
I think it does intend to be higher stakes. I'm just not like. I'm probably not in the mind space right now where I'm gonna be like bothered.
Okay, but how's the bromance? That's all we want to know.
It's not fast enough for me. It's too slow burn. Burn faster. Burn hotter. More bromance. Give it to me.
This is a pretty good summation of the show.
Dude, man, you just damned them by faint praise. That's what you just did.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, keep watching. It's good. But, I mean, if we're done with Suits, I can recommend Sketch to you, which is so dark and scary that I'm too scared to watch I've watched the first 2 episodes and there are 2 more available, but I'm too scared to watch them because like it's while you're watching it you're like sort of clutching your chest
pearls?
And not your pearls, your heart, and
okay.
And kind of fearful and not breathing and basically what happens in it? So you've got oh gosh, I can't remember who was in it now. Lee Dong-gun and
Lee Sun-bin.
Oh, right, that's it. So Lee Sun-bin has a supernatural power where she has visions of crimes before they occur, and she goes into this sort of trance and sketches them. She has a notebook full of drawings that show crime scenes before they've happened, and she meets Rain's character, and of course he doesn't believe it until someone important to him appears to have something bad happen to them. So you've got on the one hand that is happening, but then they introduce this completely like a wild card element of another future seer. Well, there's a proper name for that, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, another seer. Except there's a different character who also ends up. Oh, I don't want to give away too many spoilers. How do I do this?
Just say that's really twisty.
Okay, so twisty things happen, and you end up with Rain and Lee Dong-gun on like the same thing. They've gone through the same things. The same thing has happened to them, but they've somehow ended up on opposite sides. So it's really like it's scary. I don't want to emotionally it's very wrenching, I guess, because in Pretty Noona, Pora, the friend, I was so attached to her character from Noona, and she has a role in Sketch, and so I was kind of automatically like, oh, Pora, and then bad things happen, and so like there were like some major deaths in the first couple of episodes that really hit me hard.
So it's scary and dark, but would you say it's good?
I think it is really good. Like it's readying to go into this kind of very morally grey, what is good, what is evil, you don't even know. So it's going into that grey area, and I think it's intending to stay in that grey area, and that's got the potential to be really good if it's handled correctly to the end.
Interesting.
So if you're looking for something dark and crimey, watch Sketch.
Dark and crimey.
I don't know if it's going to stay good. The thing with all of these shows is you never know if they're going to stay good, but it's definitely started good.
Yeah, and we are eternal optimists, guys, so dramas anyway.
Yeah, hope springs eternal.
Okay, what else? Oh, I watched Rich Man, Poor Woman, and it's the first 6 episodes at least it's pretty much what you would expect of a drama called Rich Man, Poor Woman.
Is this a Japanese? Is this a Japanese one?
It's a remake. It's
Korean, isn't it?
It's a Korean. Yeah, it's Korean remake. It stars Suho and Ha-Yun Soo. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I watched the Japanese version back when it aired a couple years ago.
Okay. So you guys remember Ha-Yun Soo from Monster, right?
Yeah, like
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so she finally.
The girl with the hair.
Yeah, the hair. I loved her hair.
Voice. Yeah.
I don't remember her voice.
So the redeeming thing about this drama is that both Suho and Ha-Yun Soo's characters are very engaging, and both actors are doing an excellent job. Like they are good actors, and you can see that. And again, they have a decent chemistry. It's not. But I was actually thinking while watching this drama that this was right after, I think a couple of episodes after, sorry, this was a couple of weeks after we recorded our Men Behaving Badly episode, and I kept thinking if I had only watched this before we recorded that drama, I would have had like this hews to so many of the tropes that we outlined, like tropes we do not want in dramas anymore. It has all of them. Like it has hand grabby things. It has power dynamics that the powerful guy keeps abusing just to get his own way, and everybody lets him because he's the genius that the company's profit rides on. And she lets him walk all over him, and the only thing that she has, the only value that she has, aside from a plot device thing, is that she cries because he destroys something that she had emotional attachment to, and that's what catches his interest. So, like, and the girl is supposed to be this. Okay, so on the one hand, this is like something of the premise. The guy doesn't have, like, you know how I keep saying that I forget faces? This guy literally cannot recognize a person he's lived with for like 30 years. His facial recognition is completely shot. Medically speaking, it's apparently something because of a trauma. So yeah.
Prosopagnosia.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That thing, which I will not even try to pronounce. And
Thanks, Saya.
the girl has amazing memorizing skills. Now it's shown as a skill and not like genius eidetic memory, which, you know, like just because it's eidetic memory doesn't mean that the person is genius. That's like a myth, guys. That's the wrong way of showing smart people. But moving on. So the one thing that they could have done really well, and I think that's what they were building up to, was that this girl who's memorized her way through school and college, that's her one skill, that she goes to interviews and tells people, I can memorize really well. And interviewers are like, but we have iPad, why do we need your memory? And like, we have hard drives. And so she feels redundant, like her skill doesn't matter. Like throughout school, she was told like she's smart because, you know, she could memorize textbooks and like Excel. But yeah, in the real world, that doesn't work out. And in an interview that she went in, and Suho's character is the owner of that company, he humiliates her by basically telling her that her skill of memorization is worth nothing. And if she wants to be someone, she basically just has to like show her potential in some other way. So again, this should have been a character growth story, but at least till episode 6, there's not much of it. He employs her specifically for her memorization skill because of something he's trying to do. And it's like, there is not much. But you know what? Maybe I'm speaking too soon. It's possible that they overturn these, like they subvert these tropes. I don't know, but it doesn't look good, guys. Like it. There are certain things that they can subvert, and they probably will. After all, you can't have a romance unless the guy is humbled in some way by the girl. That's just how romance tropes work. But I don't know if they are going to sufficiently, I don't know if his comeuppance is going to be sufficiently satisfying for me to feel that this drama has redeemed itself. And I really want the girl to get, like Kim Bora, I want her to get a proper arc of self-development. I don't know if that's going to happen, but fingers crossed.
So I haven't been watching the Korean drama. Are you planning to keep watching it?
Yeah, I am. Partly because I should also mention this. They have a really nice second lead. Like, he is a really nice guy. He's a genuinely nice guy. So it's like one of those things where I'm not rooting for him or anything, but I just want to see where his character goes. And I want to see if Kim Bora's character gets any development at all. So I'm going to give this a few more episodes, probably till 10, and see what they do.
So this is 16 episodes, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't watched any of this, so I don't know how it compares, but I watched the original Japanese version, and it was like cracktastically addictive. It was so good. It was one of those like really great soundtracks. The lead characters had so much chemistry. They were both so good. I feel like it did a good job of making it about her kind of character trajectory and her like growing up and finding her place in the world. And he was a jerk. I don't feel like he was as much of a jerk for as long as what you're describing. And I wonder if that's just a function of how that story was only like 12 or 11 45-minute episodes, and this has to be 16 hours. And so maybe they're stretching out the jerkiness for a longer time before you start to see a change in him. I don't know. But I also watched it like 3 or 4 years ago, so maybe I wasn't quite as aware.
But you know, many of the things that he's
maybe
doing,
I wasn't quite as annoyed by these things back then, so I don't know.
I'm definitely going to give that one a try. But many of the things that this guy is doing is not something that most viewers would see as being a jerk. Like, for instance, he gives her one of those that the pretty woman, the dressing montage thing. He forces her to change. Yeah, so he basically drags her to a mall. Doesn't tell her where he's taking her, by the way. Just drags her to a mall and then has this woman dress her. And he's sitting there all like,
make you.
Yeah, and then it just and then.
But she hates it, right?
No, she likes it. That's what irritated me. If she hated it, I would have
that
been
makes
like,
it
okay,
worse.
yeah. And she's like, she. The thing is that she needs the job badly. She's already like flunked 30 interviews. This is her 31st. So she really badly needs the job, and she wants to make her parents proud. And he's basically taking advantage of that. And anything he asks her to do, she will do. Like she has these small rebellious moments. Like she gives him, I think, like coffee without sugar or something like that. I forget. But and then she runs off. But these are very childish antiques and not actual adult. No, I will not do this. You cannot harass me like this.
I don't remember it in like super detail, but now that you're talking about this, I do remember how desperately she starts out in the beginning and how little she felt like she was able to really rebel because she needed that job so much. I don't remember now whether they dealt with it in a good way, but I felt like when I watched that it bothered me, but at the same time it was kind of showing how you would be forced to do that. And I think it would be okay if there wasn't a romantic storyline that was coming. But I don't know.
If this was just about sort of an office thing, that would be perfectly fine. I would actually understand. The girl's situation is such that she wants to establish herself. Her friends are not finding any jobs. She is like one of those, like a generation of people who have come out of college expecting to immediately get a job, but then a year's pass and she's not getting a job. It's desperation time. So I get it. But it's just, I know it's heading towards a romance, and this is not. We know that this situation is wrong, and because it's a romance, we have to somehow be okay with it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to see the hero as in any way redeemed. So that's my problem.
Let us know how it goes then.
Yeah. Are
we done with all of
it? It really sounds like you should be dropping it.
I know, and I would have, but I really want to see if Kimbora's character goes anywhere. I like the girl, and to be honest, I actually like Suho's what's the character's name? I think Iyul-chan. I like so Iyul-chan, when he's not being an ass, is actually pretty entertaining. And I want to see how they resolve the whole facial recognition thing. I just want to see which way they go with it. So it just, I like the trope. I'll keep watching, and I'll probably complain to you guys. It's like
okay, or you can just go watch the Japanese drama and not spend as much time on it.
So then, if I really like the Japanese drama, I'll probably definitely drop this. So
I just really like Oguri-shun. He's really good, and I really love the actress in that too. So all right, let's move on.
Okay, so wait, I don't think we actually have anything left.
Just got the question, I think.
So this week it was supposed to be my turn to ask a question, and I couldn't think of one. So Saya, you get to ask yours, and next month I'll be asking mine. Go.
Okay, cool. So I actually really want to know the answer to this. What is your single most rewatched scene of a drama ever?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
Oh, I know.
Go ahead first, because I'm
going.
So it was the Queen In-hoon Man bathroom scene, like where he is inside the glass bathing stall and she's outside. I don't know why I found that so hilarious, but then she basically blackmails him with the pujok. And I like that. I like that she was like, look, you're not going to go back. I will not let you go back. Your pujok is staying with me. I like that. Like unless you answer my questions. And she wasn't passive. She was active. She was an active character there, and I really enjoy that. So that was like towards the first half of the drama, and I think I must have watched it like way too many times, clearly.
Oh man, I feel ashamed that I can't even remember this scene.
What?
Yeah, I don't have a memory of it either. Sorry.
But I need to go and find it now.
Cute.
So you tell me which episode, and I'll go and look it up later when you have time. Anissa, have you thought of yours?
So I think it's either from Coffee Prince or City Hall. I think for Coffee Prince it would be that scene at the beach where they're both in love with each other, but he still thinks that she's a guy. And it's like there's a lot of tension, and they're both kind of miserable that they're in love, but they like think it's not gonna happen. It's like very intense. I also really like the scene where he forgives her, like, and you know the scene where like she drops all of those. I think they're like pecans or chestnuts or something, and then he picks them up, and she's picking she has a hole in her bag, and it's related to one of her like 8 million part-time jobs.
Oh,
and it's like dropping, and there's a trail, and like he starts picking them up from his side. And then she realizes that they're falling out, and she starts picking them up from her side. And then they meet, and then at this point, the truth has come out, and he hasn't been talking to her, and he's like really angry, and she's been crying her eyes out. And then they finally like make up, and they talk, and then he's like, "I'm sorry for being such a jerk to you." When I found out, it's just it's like one of the best makeup scenes that I've ever seen in a drama. It felt like a real relationship, you know. And then he's like, "By the way, I'm actually glad you're a girl." So it's just they talk about everything. She says sorry, they cry, and then he's like, okay, don't cry anymore. It's just a nice scene. So
another one I need to go and rewatch.
Okay, can I have like a second one, like, because
of course.
I think I think I may have watched this more than the Queen and Hunan scene, and for good reason. So you're beautiful, right? The moment when he realizes what her touching her nose actually means, and connected to that when he tells her that he likes her and she starts hiccuping. I love that entire thing so much. So yeah, I repeatedly watch those two segments. Like, it just that because it really hits the heart. Like, because she's been doing it in such. She's been feeling so sad and sorry for herself, and she's been like doing the whole pressing the nose thing because her manager told her that's an acupuncture point, and like it makes.
It helps to suppress your feelings.
I had forgotten about that. Oh my gosh, she was such an idiot.
And he's like, she's been making piggy face at me, and
oh yeah, and he was like, what the heck? Oh yeah, that's right.
And he looks at the pictures, and he's like, wait, every time she does that, she's looking at me, and the manager tells him that it actually means that she's suppressing her feelings, and he's all,
Is that when he makes the pig rabbit for her?
Like when he puts the photos together, and it's like that moment where it suddenly dawns on him. Yeah.
I love that too.
Yeah, he was such a great hero. We need to do like a deep dive on that one day, or an audio commentary, which I'm still dying to do.
Audio commentary. I'm totally into audio commentary.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
We should do that. Okay. Saya, what are yours?
My ones. I've got two. I've actually got more than two, but I've narrowed it down to two. So Healer elevator rescue scene. That one, I can't even tell you how many times I've watched it. It's like, I've watched it so many times. Sometimes I'll just open it and just watch that like 6 times.
I don't know if I've seen it because I've only watched like 6 or 8 episodes of this drama.
It's episode 11 or 12, I think. Oh, God, I can't
so
remember which episode. But yeah. Basically, Pang Min-young, her character is Youngshin is stuck in a lift, elevator.
Should I take my headphones off because I want to see it?
Oh, okay.
I'll take my headphones off. Just text when you're done talking about it.
Oh, okay. Do I need to? I don't think I need to describe it to you because you've watched it. She's stuck in a lift, and Healer rescues her. That's it. I don't even care about what happens next, which is the bit that everyone else watches. But I'm just stuck on that rescue. It's so badass, and I love it. It's great. Okay, Anissa, come back.
Do we need to like Morse code or something? How would she know to get back?
Okay.
Hi.
My second one, which is more recent in Hwarang. So there's this scene where Sammek-jung, Park Hyung-sik's character, who is like the Olgurom-neun-wang, the faceless king. So the faceless king, nobody knows he's king except his mother, obviously, and he faces down with her. And so they have this showdown, and he says to the Queen Regent's guardsman, kneel. Like his voice drops like full octave, and he's like, "Grora, kneel, I'm your king." I've watched that so many times.
That sounds really epic.
It was
epic.
a great scene.
It was so epic.
Such a great scene. I love it. And I've watched it like a billion times. And it's in the official music video for the song that he sings for the soundtrack, which we can link if anybody wants to see it.
Oh, yeah.
Without watching the drama. I love the drama as well, but a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, I never watched it, but I heard it was kind of mixed. I'm sorry, I'm cheating, but can I just add one more that I really, really loved that was recent from Forest of Secrets? When he goes home, the hero goes home and he takes the picture that Beidou and I gave him of his angry face, and he stands in front of the mirror, and he tries to copy the picture. And I watched that over and over when I was recapping that. It was so funny and so adorable. He's trying to make himself look angry, and then just staring himself in the mirror, and then I think he tries to smile too. It's just the best.
As you were talking, I was practicing those expressions.
Yes.
Angry
and
face.
I just love her
face.
drawings. Her drawings are so hilarious too.
I love the way she'd low-key hand him it and say, "Here, it's a present."
I'm so excited for season 2.
So much good stuff coming up that's so far away.
Yeah.
I guess that's the note that we move on to the penguins.
Yay, penguins!
Yay!
Okay, so this one's a really lame one. I admit this time it's super lame. Why are penguins so good on the internet?
Why are they stupid on the internet?
No.
Is that what you asked?
Let me do it again. Why are penguins so good on the internet?
I feel the pressure now because you were disappointed in me last time.
I won't be this time because it is that lame.
Why are they so good on the internet?
It's not worthy.
Hold on.
Because they don't freeze? I don't know.
That's a good answer, but that's not it. Let me put us all out of our misery.
Alternative answers that are not actually the answer.
Well, my answer before I saw this was because they're good at surfing, but that wasn't the answer either. It's because they have web feet.
Oh
God.
Super lame, right? I agree this time.
I like your answer better.
That made way more sense. I like how I'm not even expected to answer these. It's just accepted that
I like how you sort of abstain from the beginning.
They're quietly groaning in the corner. Is my.
We're almost cringing. We can't see her. She's cringing.
I guess that is a very good place to call it a wrap. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Before you leave us, remember the science question was also for you guys. What scene stuck with you? What have you watched repeatedly? What can you recall in amazing detail even though it's blurry for other viewers? Tell us. It doesn't have to be just one scene. You can give us multiple instances, but we really want to know what stuck with you. And get in touch with us. You can email us at starsinOurpocket@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at a K-Drama Podcast, or you can comment on our YouTube page. We look forward to hearing from you. And before signing off, I'd just like to add that in the last month or so, we have been getting some comments and messages from our listeners, and each one of them has been read and reread by all three of us, because we can't believe that we actually have an audience out there. So thank you for making us feel loved, and please keep listening.